So what we're facing in this election is the tendency for Americans particularly to compartmentalize what they do in politics and say, oh, a party, I'm going to the party. No. What you got to go with is, we talked about it yesterday, God's top 10 issues. And there's going to be 40 or 50 issues in this election. What you're looking at is top 10. Now, we're told in Proverbs 14:34 that righteousness exalts a nation. And that's public policy. When you have the right kind of public policy, God will exalt a nation, even if you get the wrong kind of leaders. And I say that because you can have a Nebuchadnezzar who is not God's man, and God made real, and Cyrus, it said Cyrus did not know God, but he took steps that God blessed. So you can have a leader whose moral character is flawed, that does things that God will absolutely bless. And the tendency Americans have is they confute the leader with the policy. And I will say, you know, Trump, Stormy Daniels, all the scandals been going, what he did with porn law, all right, fine. That's really bad, reprehensible. But what he has done with Israel will cause God to bless the nation. What he has done with pro-life will cause God to bless the nation. What he has done with righteous judges will cause God to bless. I'm not endorsing his private life. I'm telling you, God will use flawed people to do the right things, and what you want to look at is policy and not character on those individuals. Not that we ignore character. We don't ignore the character or condone it. But when you have a choice of leaders, what you do is look at their positions. There's no question that they will try to make Trump the ballot this time. They're voting against Trump and how bad his character is, and you can't vote for that, and Christians will say, I can't vote for that guy. You're not. You're voting for things like judges. And by the way, Isaiah 126 says the righteousness of a land is determined by the judges in the land. Buddy, you mentioned yesterday taking the Ten Commandments down off that Kentucky school wall, and this is the Supreme Court case in 1980, Stone v. Graham, was done by judges. We've never had a legislature say kids can't see the Ten Commandments. We've had judges say that. It was not legislatures who gave us abortion on demand, it was judges. It was not legislatures who gave us gay marriage, it was judges. It was not legislatures who told us the rights of conscience don't matter, it was judges. And so Isaiah 126, God says, the judges in your land determine the righteousness of your land. So I will tell you that from my standpoint, when I look at righteousness exalts a nation, when I look at any federal election, the first thing I look at is what kind of judges will you give me? Because judges will determine the issues of religious expression, the issues of marriage, and the issues of abortion. That's determined by judges more than legislators. So as I look at judges, I will say, you know what? We have 165 federal judicial vacancies on the court right now. Somebody's going to fill that, and it's going to be U.S. senators with President Trump. I will tell you that President Trump, so far, and he's made about 80 nominations to the federal courts, I have not found a single nomination that I would object to. And I have a really high standard as a Christian and constitutional. And I will say a bunch of the guys that I have worked with for years are now sitting on the court that Trump has put in there. And I'm going, wow, don't know what his private life, I do know what his private life is like, and we don't like, but we...
Hadn't been private enough.
That's right. I'll also point out that's years ago. What we know in recent years is not the same thing. And so if we want to say he's had a change, that's great, because we don't know that anything going on now, they're all pointing backwards. But nonetheless, it doesn't change the fact that he's appointing judges that will bring righteousness to the land. And I'm going to make sure that we keep getting those kind of judges, which makes sure I got to keep the Senate with guys that'll do that.